Yeah, how's it going, everyone? I'm back and we're back with a new video. Today we're going to create this little pie chart right here, and we're going to use HTML CSS and JavaScript, of course. Now if you want to change any kind of value, for example, we have here $324 and a investment annual portfolio value of $875. And if I would change this to $532, hit save, then say that the pie chart will change. It's going to have a small animation, and also the percentages here will change, representing how much percent each one of the slices take up in the pie. Okay, so hope you're excited. If you are, give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel because we're posting new videos like this, because I'm back on a weekly basis. Okay, first things first, we're going to create a repository. We're going to find the code down in the video description below, and you can download it from there if you mess up something up or if you just want to take the code. So let's go ahead and let's get started with the project. So first things first, let's go. If you don't have a GitHub account, don't worry about it. Just open the link down below and you can download the code. Now I'm going to create here a pie chart YouTube and HTML, or let's just say JS in YouTube. Okay, perfect. Now let's go ahead, create this. Going to be public, going to have a readme, and let's go ahead and create it. And after it is created, I can now go ahead and clone the repository. I'm going to clone it right here. Let's go command, let's do a git clone. I'm going to go into my repository. You can also clone this if you want, but I'm just going to, let's go ahead, pie chart, but you could also download the code if you wish so. So I'm going to go into YouTube videos and wait, I'm going to go into the projects and create a repository right here. That's just going to be an empty folder. Yep, open it here. So it's going to be an empty folder with a readme file. Yes, I'm going to trust you. So let's go ahead and create an index.html. I'm just going to do a control exclamation mark, then add here a link to the style.css file that we're going to create next up. So let's go ahead and create a style.css file. And also I'm going to do the CSS at the end. And down here, we're going to link up everything to a script with the source of main.js. So let's also create our main.js JS file, and let's do here console log, and let's say pie chart. Okay, let's open up our file. Right click, open with live server. If you don't have live server installed, then please go ahead and do so. And we should see in our console now. Open the console, we should see a console log of pie chart. Perfect, so the code is working. And also I'm going to throw you down the bottom section, and I'm going to create here in the body just a h1 for now with pie chart. Perfect, so this is working. Now let's go ahead and go to delete this and create a div with the class of result, because this is where the results for whatever input you're going to have will be located. Then within our result, we're going to have a div with a analysis and results. I think I'm not even going to populate this, but what we are going to need here is the pie chart. So I'll create another div with the class of pie-chart-container, and then, well, sorry about this. Actually, analysis results, forget about it. This is actually from the larger project that I'm working on, a stock market project. You're going to see it in the course coming up just in a couple of weeks. And you know what? I think my face is going to take up too much space here, so I'm going to remove it. So let me remove my face. I'm going to do the code so we have more real estate for code. Okay, so let's remove you, and there we go. Now we can code. Also close you up. We have most real estate to code. Okay, now within our pie chart container, we're going to create here canvas, and it's going to have the ID of pie chart. So ID and is equal to pie-chart. And also going to add to this a class of animate-pie-chart. And let's also define the width and the height for it. So width, let's say 600, and height also 600. Basically, these are pixels, don't forget it. Okay, now after our canvas, I'm going to create a UL with the ID of pie and chart and legend, meaning that let me open up our finished project right here, meaning that these explanations right here will be down in the pie chart. Okay, so this is where our pie chart legend will come into play. Now this right here is this canvas, this pie chart. And this right here is the container. Now we're going to style them just in a couple of seconds. But first, let's go ahead, let's go into our JavaScript file and let's create a pie chart. Now I want the pie chart to be displayed as soon as the document loads. So I'm going to do a document.add event listener, and we're going to listen for a DOM content load. And then we're going to trigger a function called show pie and chart. Okay, I'm also going to take this, copy it. Oops, that's too much. Let's jump to the end of it and copy this, and let's create a function. So function pie chart, show pie chart, and let's go ahead. Also, I forgot to close this up here. Now, as soon as this function loads, let's also check it. I'm going to move my console log down here. So I should basically see pie chart again. Now let's see pie chart on load, save, and there we go, pie chart on load. Okay, so as soon as the document loaded, it's going to have an event listener, is going to listen for a load and then trigger the show pie chart function. Now in my pie chart function, I will need two values, and those values will be for, so in the finished project, for these two slices. So the slices will not only have a value for the amount or the size of the slice, but also a value for the color. So I'm going to create basically an object. Or for each of them, I'm going to create a slice. Let's get the let slice A. I'm going to set this equal to an object with a key value pair of size. And let's say the first one is going to have 250. And these are just values. It doesn't matter what you're typing in here, but it needs to be a number. And then it's going to have a color, and just going to take now a, let's say, blue color. Okay. Now I'm going to copy this and replace this with a B. And then let's replace this with a 750 and a green color. Okay, so we have our two slices. Now let's add them. Let's create here a variable const into a array of values. So values, I'm going to add them both slice A and slice B, but the values will be for actual sizes. So I'm going to use this from the slice A only the size, and also from the slice B only the size. Now we need to figure out what the total value of the pie would be. Well, it needs to be 100%. So in order to figure this out, we're going to create here a const, call it total, and I'm going to assign to the values dot. Because this is an array, we can use the reduce method on it. So the reduce method will need a accumulator and then a value within a callback function. Now we're going to set this to calculate the accumulator, so ACC plus the value, and then it's going to start at 0. And next thing that we need to do is create a variable for the starting angle. Because this is going to rotate, it needs to have an angle where it can open. So we're going to start up with a start angle, and I'm going to assign this to 0. So 0 is the starting point. Now we need to, let's also type in a comment, calculate the values of the pie chart and in percentages. So let's go ahead and grab onto a canvas now. So let's create a variable called with const canvas. Going to call it canvas, and obviously we're going to grab onto the canvas of document.get element by ID, or you could also use query selector, and I'm going to grab onto the ID of pie and chart. Don't forget, this is the ID that we gave our canvas here, pie chart. Perfect. Now from this, we're going to need the 2D context, and in order to get this, I'm going to use we're just going to create another const and use a ctx, which is actually a object that provides methods on and properties also for drawing a canvas. So we're going to assign this to the canvas, and now I can apply methods to the canvas. So first of all, we're going to get the context of 2D. Now let's calculate the actual angles. So let's type in another comment, calculate angles. So in order to calculate the angles, we're going to loop over our values using a for each loop. And for each value that we have in our values, and also grab onto the index, we're now going to use a arrow function, and within here we're going to create a const, call it angle, and this will be basically the value, whatever value is going to be passed in. So these two values, and we're going to divide it by the total. Now we just calculated our total up here. Now that's not enough, because we also need to multiply it by a math in the math method, and then using the dot pi, is basically 3.14, something like that, and then multiply it with 2. Now let's go ahead and start drawing. So come in here, draw the slice, or draw a slice. Now in order to draw slices, we need to get out our ctx, and in order to use multiple method on it, the first method that we're going to use is begin the path. So begin path and initiate. Okay, next we're going to use our ctx dot move to, and we're going to move the canvas dot width. I'm going to divide the width now by 2, and also the canvas dot height, and we're going to divide this also by 2. Oops, this should be a dot. Okay, perfect. Next, let's go ahead and get our ctx again, and let's arc. It's a bit complicated to explain, but we're going to arc over the entire circle. So we're going to use canvas dot width. We're going to divide this by 2, comma the canvas dot height. Divide this by 2. Basically, we're going to do a full circle. Then the canvas width again divided by 2. Then start angle. Then start angle, and we're going to add to this the angle that we just calculated up there. Okay. Now, in order to close this up, we just need to say here ctx dot close and path. You open the path, and now we're closing the path. Now we need to color our pie here. You're still not seeing anything, but from here on it's going to get interesting. So ctx dot, and we're going to use now the fill style on it. So fill style, and we're going to fill it. We're going to assign it to the index, and if the index is equal to 0, then the slice A dot color will be applied, and if not, then the slice B dot color will be applied. Okay, and now we can apply to this the ctx dot fill method again. Boom, there we go. There's our very first color. Now the next angle needs to be iterated, so we're going to do here a start angle and start adding to it each angle. And there we go. Now we have both slices. Now if I would change them up here, let's see, this is going to be 400, and this is going to be 500. Oops, now close it up. There you go. The slice will change, or both slices will change actually. So next up, let's also display down here the legend explaining to the user what each slice means. So let's go ahead, still remaining with our function. Let's go ahead and let's type in here show legend, and let's go ahead and create first of all a variable called legend. I'll assign to the document dot get element by id, and we're going to grab onto the id of pie dash chart dash legend. Now we're going to populate the legend using dot inner HTML on it, and we're going to use here backticks because we're going to use here a bunch of template literals. First things first, we're going to create here div. So it's going to be a div with a class of legend item dash item, and each legend item will have a legend color, just as you saw here, and then a legend label, just as you see here. So in order to create them, I'm going to go into our div and create another div with the class of legend dash color, and we're going to add to this the style of background color dash color. And now we're going to add here the variable of slice a dot color. Okay, and this is how we're going to obtain this dot right here. Now after we added our legend color, the next step would be to add the label. So I'm just going to copy this, change this to label. We're not going to have any kind of background color. We have to delete this, but within also delete this, but within our div, we're going to have a text of total invested, and obviously this is a amount. So we're going to have here $, then another $, because the second one will be for using the variable of slice a dot size, calculation between the slice a dot size divided by the total, and this should result in percentages. So we need to multiply this by 100 and also restrict it to only 2 decimals. I'm going to pack everything or wrap everything again into a parenthesis and add a dot toFix to it, toFix method, and then only 2 values after the comma should appear. And also add here a percentage sign at the end. Now we're going to copy this and paste it in one more time and do the same thing for the value B color. So we're just going to change here. Everything that is A should be now, let's just grab onto slice A and change this to capital B. Okay, all 3 of them. Okay, there's our values. They're pretty small, but we're going to now go ahead and style everything. So let's go in our style.css. Let's first of all do a general reset here. So margin 0, padding 0, so on and so on. Our general resets, padding 0, and box size in border box. Next up, the body. I'm going to use here a font family of Roboto and then a sans serif. There we go. Also, let's change the background color. Let's add here background color of hash F5, F5, and F5. The color of our text should be, let's say, hash 222. And let's now go to our dot result class, which is captivating this entire thing. So we're going to add, first of all, a width to it of 700 pixels. Then we're going to display everything as flags, meaning our 2 elements, which are, if we display the result as flags, we're just going to display our pie and, wait a second, I'm missing something here. The pie chart. Actually, this doesn't matter. The next one would be interesting. So yeah, I can actually display this as whatever. It doesn't matter. But what I do need is to set some font sizes and so on. So font size 700. Actually, the font weight. It should be font weight. There we go. Let's increase the font size now to 1.5 rem. Okay. Let's add a background color to this of FFF. So we can see the difference. Let's set a couple of margins. So margin top and bottom 1 rem and 0 left and right. Oh, let's do actually auto left and right. Then a padding to top and bottom 0.3 rem and 1 rem left and right. Okay, and let's also close this up with a border radius of 5 pixels, a solid border, so border 1 pixel, solid, and then hash CCC. If you want to get really funky with this, then let's also add a box shadow of 0.05 pixels and a RGBA of 0.00 and 0.4. And there we go. We also have a little bit of box shadow here. And let's go margin top and bottom. Let's also add here 0.5 rem. Yeah, that's much better. Now let's go ahead and grab onto our pie chart container. So the next one will be pie chart dash container, and we're going to use here a width of 100%. It's going to take up 100% of its container. Then we're going to display this one as flex. We're going to change the flex direction to column, and we're going to justify or align the items center. Okay, so we have everything in the center. Now let's also add a bit of margins to it. So margin top and bottom 2 rem, so we have more space within here. And let's also add a bit of space between the elements. So I'm going to add a gap of 20 m pixels. And there we go. Okay, now let's take care of our legend items. So the legend items, first of all, let's go ahead and take care of the color. So legend dash color. We're going to create here now a width of 20 pixel, then a height of 20 pixels, basically square for now. But we're going to change this to border radius of 50%, so they're going to be basically round. Okay, so there we have them, both of them, meaning that blue is now a invested amount of, and the other one is invested amount. Let's go into our JavaScript and say the second one will total portfolio value. Okay, so let's go back to our style. There we go. Let's display them as inline block, and let's also add a margin to the right side of 10 pixels. Okay, now let's go ahead and grab onto the item, so the one that is wrapping all around them, and we're going to display this dot legend and item. We're going to display this as flex, and let's add it. No, that's basically it. What we could do is add a margin bottom to each of them of, let's say, 20 pixels. Okay, so I have a bit of a gap between them. or I could just add a gap. It's the same thing. Okay, last thing that I want to do is if I change something here, that this should have a animation. Now, in order to achieve this, we're going to create here a dot animation. Actually, we already have the class animate pie and chart. We already added the class, and now let's create a keyframe. So let's call this at keyframe, and I'm going to call this animate pie chart. So the same thing. And it's just going to have a fade in effect. So we're going to start at 0%. It's going to have a transform and scale 0, and also let's add a dimming effect. So opacity 0, and then it's going to go to 100%, where it's going to have basically the same thing, but the scale of 1 and the opacity of 1. Okay, so let's try this out. Let's add the animation here, animation, and the name is animation. Just copy this. Add the animation here. It's going to take 1 second, and it's going to have an ease in and out effect. And there we go. There's our animation. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the project. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. If you have any kind of questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the comment section below. Also, if you're not subscribed, then please consider subscribing. I'm posting new videos like this on a weekly basis, except for the last couple of weeks, because if you watched the previous video, then you know why. So if you don't know, then go ahead and watch the previous video. Nevertheless, a superb course is coming out on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which is going to have 10 amazing large financial projects, basically building financial projects, financial applications using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It is beginner friendly. It's more, not advanced, but medium oriented. But I'm also going to include a complete crash course on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, so nobody is going to be left out. So that's it. Thank you a lot for watching. Take care, everyone. Stay healthy. Love you all. Bye-bye.